Hello and welcome back to another episode of Restring Sunday, the series where I restring a guitar, talk a little bit about it, and play it. So what's today's guitar? What's in this case? Well, it was my main guitar for about 4 or 5 years, and it's a guitar that I received a lot of questions about. Primarily, what is it? So let's take a look. So this guitar is affectionately known as the TriStar. It's rather striking in appearance, it's quite hard to miss, and that was the point. Oh, neck support. Can't not have neck support, you'll get mad at me again. It was 2015 and I was jumping from guitar to guitar. I didn't have a main guitar, I didn't have one that I would always play all of the time. And I wanted to change that. I wanted a guitar that was built to my specs, and a guitar that would stand out. Restring time. I think we're going to go with NYXLs today. These are 10s, and we're going to tune this guitar to D standard. Player circle code for someone. I wanted something built to my specifications. I knew what type of guitar I wanted, but I couldn't find one stock. So the only option was custom, and with custom comes a custom price tag, which I couldn't afford. So the next best thing is a parts guitar. You can cut costs a lot if you source the parts yourself. And that's what I did with this guitar. The neck comes from Warmoth and it's a roasted maple neck, and this was 2015, so roasted maple was just kind of almost becoming popular, but it was nowhere near as popular as it is today. It also has stainless steel frets, which are great and are kind of a standard on modern high-end guitars now, and it's got quite an unusual profile. It's the Stevie Ray Vaughan neck. It's an asymmetrical, so there's more wood where your thumb is than where your other fingers are. It's kind of an interesting one, but I quite like it. And also the truss rod on this neck is positioned in a really handy place. It's at the bottom of the neck here, and you can adjust it with a small Allen key, and you don't have to take the neck off or get in between the strings up at the headstock. It's quite a handy place for it to be. So now that the neck's covered, let's talk about the body. That's kind of the bit that people are drawn to the most. One of my big influences as a guitar player was Chris Holmes from Wasp. I loved his sound, I loved his gear, and he used to use a star-shaped guitar. It was a partscaster. It had Charvel and Jackson on the headstock multiple different times, multiple different necks. He broke them a lot. But the yellow star always stayed with me. It was always my favorite. But I was also very much influenced by the band Warrant. The guitar players in that band always had one thing that stood out to me: guitars with graphics. I just thought that was cool, and I wanted something that would stand out like their guitars did. But I really didn't know what I wanted until I was watching a rig rundown of Def Leppard. Def Leppard are very well known for their British iconography. They've got Union Jacks everywhere on stage, including their instruments. But guitar player Vivian Campbell is not British, he's Irish, and he wanted something that would represent him. So he took his Les Paul and got it painted with the Irish Air Corps flag. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I wanted something similar but not a direct copy. So I photoshopped up a very rough version of what this guitar was to look like, and that was really it. That's what I wanted. So I bought the neck off Warmoth, and then I went about collecting parts that I would need for the guitar. As far as hardware goes, the tuners came from Warmoth with the neck, but the bridge, for example, I wanted it to have a stop tailpiece and a tune-o-matic like the Chris Holmes Star. Those came from Everest Music, which we've already done a Guitar Shopping in Ireland episode at. And as far as the pickups go, the bridge pickup is a Seymour Duncan JB, though it doesn't say Seymour Duncan on it because it was I can't remember if it was like a 50th or a 60th anniversary pickup, but it's supposed to look like the original wound Seymours. And I didn't really get that for any other reason other than it was the cheapest pickup I could get that wasn't active. But even though it was the cheapest, I really wasn't expecting it to sound as good as it does. And the neck pickup was chosen back when I really didn't use neck pickups. Now I use neck pickups for most lead playing, or a lot of lead playing anyway, but back then I really didn't use it. So it's just a Duncan designed single coil, I wasn't really too fussed on how it sounded, though it does sound quite nice. It sounds very stratty. But we actually haven't talked about the body yet, so let's talk about that. As I said, I could afford a partscaster. I couldn't really afford a full custom guitar, but I suppose this is semi-custom. I got the body made from a local enough luthier called Menapia Guitars. I don't know if he's still active, but I will show a few pictures of his guitars on the screen now. One thing that always stood out to me was he always did something with the neck woods to get like a pattern out of them when he carved it, and they always ended up looking very cool. So once I had the bag of parts that was going to become this guitar, I contacted Marty. This was about November 2015, and I got this guitar commissioned basically. He drew up a template for the body and started making the body for the neck and for the parts. He put it all together and he painted it. The finish itself is nitro, so you can see that it's kind of starting to age already. The white isn't as white as it used to be. It's starting to yellow a bit, but that's kind of the way nitro is. I collected this guitar the day after it was announced that Lemmy had died. That's how I remember it. So December 28th, 2015 was when I collected this, and since then it became my main guitar for many years. And it really did exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be my main guitar, and it was a recognizable guitar too. That's how it was known, and that was the point of the paint job. It was well known that this was my guitar. But while the paint was for show, it was still very much a functional instrument. I used this for multiple, actually I think I've recorded the most with this guitar, but this guitar has been in music videos and everything. This was the main one for many, many years. There's scars and scratches all over this guitar, specifically on the back horn right here, where I was wearing a bullet belt for a music video, and that's what happened there. But I love this guitar. It's got so many memories attached to it. And even though that this guitar is a showy guitar, the shape, the finish, everything on this guitar stands out, it still plays really well. It's not just a visual guitar. And one thing I should probably point out that's also a little bit unusual about this guitar is the headstock. This is the old 70s style Fender CBS headstock. It's the bigger one. And that wasn't a stylistic choice. It was in the warm-up blowout bin of this neck was pre-made already, and they had discounted it. It was the only one that was baked maple, and it had the stainless steel frets, or the option to put stainless steel frets in. So again, this guitar was made on a budget, but I don't think I'd really change anything. This is my guitar. It's no longer my main guitar. I've replaced it with multi-scales. I just find them to be really comfortable. Oh yeah, and another thing, the strap is on the back as opposed to here where the strap button already is. That's where the original strap button was, but it had been a neck dive. But now it has very little neck dive, like it holds, and once your arm is there, it really doesn't matter. So that's what this weird Frankenstein of a guitar is. It's a Warmoth neck bolted onto a custom Menapia body with this Ireland, or I suppose if you wanted it to be, it could be Ivory Coast color finish. So that's really everything to do with this guitar. It is semi-retired at the moment, but you know, I can bring it back in videos and maybe a live show or two. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video, that really helps me, and then subscribe if you want to see more Restring Sundays and other stuff that comes out throughout the week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.